We got a new dude. We got a new hairdo. I see you. I see you. Okay. Yeah, yeah. The date tonight.
Welcome into Sports Tonight. Bailey Burmaster alongside Lee Smith for your Wednesday. Wow, it's Wednesday already.
I know, right?
Edition of Sports Tonight. And we have a packed show for you. Lots happening this week in the sports world.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Atlanta Hawks. They have their home opener, season opener at home at State Farm Arena against the Nets. The Nets have the lowest projected wins in the NBA going into tonight.
So that would be a good start, right?
So that would be a great way
Hopefully.
to start with a win. I think let's go through some storylines I'm paying attention to. I think number one for me is, can this team stay healthy? They dealt with a lot of injuries last year, whether it was Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, DeAndre Hunter, you name it. Someone was always hurt. Onyeka. So they got to stay healthy this year, and Trae needs to stay healthy, more importantly. Number two for me, I want to see what the rotations look like with the additions of Zachary Reese-O'Shea and how much Jalen Johnson's role, how much more he takes on, because he was a really big pillar last season. And then I think the third one is just a fun one to watch. I want to see what happens with Zach and Reese-O'Shea and how he fits into this team and how he progresses. Obviously, I think there will be growing pains at time, but I think he could be the real deal.
Well, and another thing, too, people kind of forget this. They used to have a guy called DeJounte Murray. Mm-hmm. Now they don't. Mm-hmm. Instead, they have a guy named Dyson Daniels.
Yep.
So how
Whose defense is understated probably right now.
Yeah, and I kind of want to see how he goes with Trae. Mm-hmm. So that's really my thing is, can Trae coexist with another guard? Mm-hmm. or how does it look at least? I mean, because last year it was, at times it looked chaotic with him and DeJounte on the floor at the same time. It just never seemed to really work. So I'm kind of looking forward to Dyson Daniels and how he fits in with the offense and defense.
I like that. Well, we will have highlights tonight at 11 on this game, so you'll want to tune in for that. But we also have some sound from Big O and Quinn Snyder heading into this one.
Oh, it's, I think the environment you want is, they're coaching me too. I think to the extent that you really have the kind of staff that we have, they're able to dig into things, on a deeper level, and then precipitates dialogue. And we got a group that not only is talented and really bright, but works really hard. And, everybody's the beneficiary of that. So.
Congrats on the Jalen deal.
Yeah.
Get that done before the season.
Yeah, I think, I know he was someone for me when I first got here that you could see, the potential for his development. And, he committed to that, and that year, he started playing more. And then I think going into that summer and last year, the work that he's put in, it's a success story in my mind, not only for him, but for our entire program and the development process, because he's someone he's not a finished product by any means, and I think he's first in line relative to his commitment to continue to get better. So, him to have a clear head this year and be able to really continue to grow. I'm going to keep challenging him to play defense, but he can do a lot of things on the floor. and that versatility, I think is something that really helps our team in a lot of ways. So it's a good, excited to have him part of the program for a number of years.
Do you see guys play with any more freedom when they have that security of getting a deal done before they go into the season, or does it make a difference at all to you?
I think for any of us, if there's uncertainty in our professional life or personal life, it's human nature to have that pop into your head. I don't think he went through training camp thinking about all that. He's been present, and he's been aggressive. I think we kept coaching him. It wasn't like kid gloves until Jalen gets resolution on a deal. But at the same time, I think there's got to be a sense, I think, for both the Hawks and for Jalen that because it's something that everybody's really excited about, that it does give him an opportunity to kind of keep pushing forward without having that in the back of his mind.
What's this like for you to eat before the start of the season? It's been a long process to get to this point. You like at a
Yeah.
Christmas Eve kind of thing?
No, I mean, I feel a lot like this is my first year. The first year really was more observation and not having a chance to have a training camp. And last year we had a different team. There's a lot of new faces. I think the evolution of that group in a lot of ways right now. There's some things that we're going to need to keep working. There's a training process, but it's been, I think, a really good preseason. We're not close to a finished product, but I think we can see a path of where we need to go. And as a coach, and I think for the players too, that's fun.
Going back to Jalen for a minute, when you look at the favorites,
I think there's a premium on rebounding across the board, unless you have, particularly if, you have other guys that can push the ball, and I think one of the things Trey's done a good job of in the preseason is when Jalen or somebody gets it, for him to run the lane. And that's something not only, to have your, bigger wings who can rebound, but to have those guys be able to catch the ball and turn and push it. And sometimes it doesn't mean they go end to end and finish, but they have the ability to put it down and start to get an advantage, and then for them to be able to make those plays and pass makes you harder to guard in transition.
You mentioned defense. What are some other things that he can unlock in his game? What kind of player is Atlanta getting over these next few years?
Well, I wouldn't. You asked me about Jalen, so I talked about his defense. I could say the same thing about all of our guys, and the reason being, I think we know that we need to defend collectively. So some of it's not just any one guy taking on a matchup and winning a matchup, so to speak. It's our team collectively. So just the habits that you need within a certain system to be able to help your teammates as much as anything. And I think that's training, awareness, and on a basic level, it's a commitment. You have to commit in order to train, and when those things, the more important they become, the more aware you are of them. And when you make a mistake or when you make a play, not only you know it, but your teammates know it. The coaches usually know it. So it's a collective mindset and something that I think Jalen's dialed into. Those habits take time. Being in a stance, that's probably the most basic thing. Just you have to be down in a stance in order to be able to move. And when you are in a stance, you're conscious of playing defense.
So happy for him. Obviously, first 2 years in the league, he wasn't playing as much, but just to see him blossom and earn that, new money. I'm happy for him, his family, the great people. I was egging it so much, after he signed it, and, that's my dog. I'm just happy that, he has that weight off his shoulder.
So dinner's on him tonight?
Dinner, everything's on him. Everything's on him. I ain't pulling out my wallet ever. Around him?
You think he's just scratching the surface in terms of his talent, how much more he's got to play?
Definitely. Last year was his first year really playing for real. He's only going to get better from here.
You like a kid on Christmas Eve, the day before the start of the season. What's this anticipation like for another year in the league for you?
I'm just blessed to be able to, go out there and play. I'm happy to, play basketball again. It's been a while, and I'm excited for tomorrow.
Quinn kind of mentioned this rebirth. It feels like his first year. Do you feel a difference, a shift from last year to this year?
Kind of. I feel like we're a lot younger, and which is better. A lot of hungry guys out there, wanting to play, wanting to compete, and I'm excited for it.
You got your first action against Oklahoma City. Was that enough of a warm-up, you feel like? Do you feel like there's still some steps, or like where are you at this point?
I'm good. I definitely needed that OKC game just to, get timing, rhythm, everything, not that, but, something. Just know I'm ready to play.
Okay, so we will keep you posted on how they fare tonight. A team that fared very well last night was Atlanta United. The game was absolutely insane. So the first goal, Brooks Lennon finishes it beautifully. Second goal is Alexi, who crosses it into the box for Stian Gregerson on a free kick. And he had a beautiful header, so they go up 2-0. At halftime, it's 2-0, which, if you didn't know, Lee, is the most dangerous lead you can have in soccer.
Is it? 2-0 is?
2-0 is, because people get comfortable and then momentum totally shifts. So that's exactly what happened. There was a little bit of a miscommunication at one point between Stian and Brad. It seemed like Brad might have tried to call him off, but it was the last second, so Stian did what he was told, but it kind of caught Brad by surprise, and it hit him off his chest, ricocheted, and Joseph Martinez cleaned it up, scoring, so it was 2-1. And then I believe in the 88th minute, this was a very interesting turn of events, there was a foul, and it was called a free kick right outside the box. But then it was reviewed, and they gave them a penalty in the box in the 88th minute.
Oh.
Joseph Martinez
buries
it. Him and Brad had some words. Obviously, they have history, so they hugged it out after. But 2-2 goes straight into PK since it's the playoffs, and Atlanta United won 5-4. Massive win for them, and now they go into a 3-game series with Inter Miami. Can you talk about how insane that game is going to be? So the first game's Friday, and then the second game will be on November 2nd at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
From literally having to have like 3 scenarios go right, and they have to win on decision day, the last match of the regular season, when you had
they had a 10%
8 months,
chance.
you had 8 months to just make everything out of the question, so you didn't have to come all the way to that, and then boom, all that goes their way. They get in, they beat Montreal.
So they've won 3 straight games now. Rob Valentino and Stian Gregerson talked after the game about the momentum they have, how the game went, and what's waiting on the other side now with Messi.
How much work did y'all put on executing and I guess defending penalty kicks going into this wild card round? Did y'all spend any more time on it on Monday than usual?
No, we didn't. We didn't talk about it because I thought, let's go to win the game, and that's how we executed in the first half, to go to win the game, and knew that when it gets to that area, we've been in it before, so we prepped as a staff. We were ready to go, and when the moment came, we were ready to make the decisions there. And Brad's been great all season about penalty kicks, and I just like that they had a togetherness. You look at the guys out on the pitch, they were together the whole time. Brad stepping up to grab the ball, making sure Joseph doesn't get it. I think he's got a relationship with that guy, and he put that aside for the team to show something different tonight.
How hard was it to pick everybody's heads up after losing the 2-0 lead, getting ready to go to penalties?
Yeah, I mean, they looked tired. They looked like it was a lot mentally, I'm sure, but physically they've just played the other day and traveled. And that's what the message has been the same. Like, hey, you're together, stay in it. You're right there. This is not a tactical thing or a thing that we can try to help get more info on. Just trying to gain more belief in themselves. And ultimately, when they do get out there, just make sure you continue to encourage. I always try to tell them, and visualize yourself having success. And so it's the same, go and visualize yourself having success. It so happened that there was in front of their supporter section, which I found really interesting. I thought you get to decide which side it goes to, but apparently it was very predetermined to be there. And to block out that noise is not easy. So I think that's commendable for them.
Was it difficult to decide on the 5 to take, or did it kind of pick itself?
Yeah, in some ways, it always, any decision you're making, for sure, it was, but we already had pre-planned. So as subs came and went, then we had to make decisions from there.
The decision on the subs with Pedro having to come off, Tyler coming in, and then later having to pull Tyler and Abone coming in. How did all that work through?
Yeah, I mean, that one was a little bit frustrating, the Pedro one, because at halftime we knew that he had a knock, so we were checking on him and hoping that he was going to get through it. And we asked, like, it's make or break. Can you come out? Because we don't use a moment, and then we can make adjustments from there. And it didn't happen that way. So that's something we need to clean up altogether, that doesn't happen again. And Tyler, I feel bad doing that, but in the moment, I felt like it was something that we're probably going to need to do, and to keep Alexi on the field to take if we have to end up going to penalties, and he needs to be a difference maker for us. So it was somebody that I felt like we had to keep on the field.
And then just last one for me, another quick turn. It's just a couple of days before trip to Fort Lauderdale. You know, what can you do in this time before kickoff on Friday?
Recover. I mean, sleep's big thing for them. They need to sleep, recover their bodies, massage, whatever it is, get food in their body, all those things. I think that part's really important. Mentally get in a really good place and go again. I think that, like, I'm not the one playing, so I say this, like, I'd play tomorrow if we could, because I want to be here. This is where I want us to be, to continue to keep playing. So for me, I'll play tomorrow. Those guys will say something different, but we can't control when the game is. We'll just show up when the game is there, and we'll go to win it.
Is there any extra confidence knowing that y'all are unbeaten against Inter Miami the past three times you played them?
Playoffs are different. So if you look at the other way, we hadn't beat Montreal. So I tried to really, again, I've been saying that all year, but I just try to take every game as it is. That what happened in the past in the regular season doesn't matter anymore. And now we have to move to a whole different format. It's a whole different beast in the playoffs.
And how did you decide the penalty kick takers? It looked like it was the most experienced guys.
Yeah, I mean, we've done things in the past. Like, obviously, we had the League Cup that we've had prep for, that we actually practiced that stuff because we knew that was a big thing. So we've had preparation. I spent some time over the last day and a half just going through penalty kick takers and guys that take stuff in training. And then from there, again, compiling a list and then checking them off as guys are on the pitch, off the pitch.
All right, we'll go to Zoom for 3. We'll go Felipe, Sam, then Joe.
Thanks, Justin. Rob, congrats on the win. I'm going to be the guy that asks you the question. You're going to be asked this probably many times up until Friday. Like, what do you do to contain Lionel Messi? Is that something that you've thought about? I know that this game was ahead of you. It's the heat of the moment right after this win, but it's something that you're going to have to prepare for. Is there a plan?
Yeah, I think that's every time a team plays them. That's the question that is asked, right? That's the golden question. But I think that's been his whole career. Like, he's arguably the best player that's ever played. So we've faced him a few times, and we know obviously his qualities, but also at the same time they've got other players that are good too. So there has to be a focus on him and also his teammates around him. And we know what the games are like with them, so we have that experience. Now it's going to be a different format. Playing in Miami is always a different beast with weather and all those things. So he's a talented player, and we need to talk about blocking areas and just be hyper alert when he's on the pitch or where he's at. We need to know where he's at, and also stop the other players from actually getting him the ball.
Hey, Rob. At the start of the game, it seemed like the team's line of confrontation was higher. It seems like they were pressing more. Seemed almost like a 4-2-4 at times, pressing up. What was the thought process behind that, and how well do you think it worked in this game? Yeah,
it was we were trying to get not a higher line of confrontation, but just an organized compactness of the group and pick up on pressing triggers. In a short period of time, we tried our best to do that. I think they're a really good team. We've seen them evolve through preseason in their way of playing, and we knew it would be a tough task, but we thought if we're really organized, we can maybe steal one and catch on the counter, which in the second half we proved that a little bit. But they did cause us some problems. The 4-2-4 wasn't exactly the way we were looking at it, so there's some things that we will need to look to shore up on how we can trigger pressure and be a little bit better there. But yeah, I don't know, the height of it wasn't really the big concern. It was just making sure that everybody is together and compact.
Yeah, Rob, and then I just wanted to ask you about the team's ability to create chances tonight. Over 2 expected goals created on the road, obviously in a tough game where these guys' legs were worn down. What did you think was clicking for some of these guys, especially those ones you were talking about on the counterattack in the second half?
Yeah, I mean they started to take more risk on the ball, so we were able to be once we were more organized and more disciplined, we were able to get a foot in and then catch on the counter. From there, it's just decision making on the counter. I think it was the same thing when we were here down a man. It was down to the decision making. We went over some stuff yesterday in video about it. It becomes really difficult. There are players on the field that when they've got the motion of the game, they're tired from running. The ball is moving, an opponent's going. Like there's a lot of different things, and so from there, it's like picking the right pass or the right shot from there, or is it composure to keep the ball in the final third? But I thought that I'm happy that we created some chances. I like in all honesty, we should have put the game away. So I'm happy we're moving on. I won't be the grumpy guy right now. I'll enjoy this and then be grumpy later.
Every day, every before the game, we go through the set pieces, and yeah, especially this one, we work with Liam. And what can I say? Yeah, it was a fantastic free kick from Alexi. So for me, it was just take this run and head the ball into the goal.
On the first goal that Montreal scored, it looked like you and Brad were trying not to collide with each other as that ball came in. Is that accurate? Could y'all not hear each other?
Yeah, Brad say his name, so I let it pass, and yeah, it was he's going very fast, so I don't know what happened after, but because I was sliding down the line, so yeah.
Right. Okay. And this is the team's first 3-game win streak this season. It's the first time it's advanced in a playoff series since 2019. Why is this success happening now, do you think, in these past 3 games when it hasn't happened?
No, it's difficult to say, but we have worked so hard this season, every training, every game, and yeah, now we're starting to succeed, and it's the best timing in the end of the season to show that. And yeah, like you said, 3 in a row is very good, and yeah, let's continue.
Were you the 6th penalty taker? Were you up
No, I was later. Yeah.
And now you get to face a team that just set a Supporter Shield record for points. You get them in at least 2 games. Is that exciting for you to face the best team in Major League Soccer history?
Yes, of course. It's always what can I say, fun to play big games, and I'm looking forward so much to play in Mercedes-Benz with the stadium going to be packed. So to play in front of our fans I'm looking so much for this game.
How was the surface out there? It felt like a lot of players were slipping in moments.
Yeah, the grass was long, so I think that's why, and they put a lot of water. But the pitch was good, yeah.
What were the moments?
Okay, so switching gears to the Falcons back at Flowery Branch. They have another divisional opponent taking on the Bucks for the second time. They beat them on Thursday Night Football, heartbreaking fashion for the Bucks, and it gets worse for Tampa. They are now without Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Both went down with injury. Chris Godwin is most likely the rest of the season with a dislocated ankle. He had surgery today, actually, and then Mike Evans re-aggravated a hamstring injury, and they believe he'll be out through at least week 11 is what they're predicting.
Huge blow for an offense. I mean, what luck. The NFL is so week to week. I couldn't imagine if I'd be a Tampa fan, man.
Well, you know what they say, it's not who you play, it is when you play them. Let's hear from Raheem Morris as things got kicked off in Flowery Branch today.
You know, they're pros, just like everybody else in the National Football League, so they're definitely going to have the next man up mentality. That's 2 really good players that we know or we think are going to be out. I know they put Godwin on IR, not sure with Mike, but didn't look great for those guys, and that's really good players that they're going to have on IR. But they got some really good players behind them. Obviously Shep's been a great player since he came from Oklahoma and played with Baker. He's been doing the league for a long time, known him from the Giants. He'll probably fill the inside position at the F position. They went out and drafted the young man from Washington that's doing a really good job for him, has his role increased every single week. Got a real speedy receiver out there in Palmer who's done some really good things for him in the past. And then obviously their 3-headed monster at running back has been looking pretty good. So they got some stuff in stock. I know it's always, what was me when you get people hurt, but for coaches and people that work inside the building and players, they always got answers and reasons and things to be positive about and the people to get the ball to.
Yes, could you discuss your practice squad moves over the last couple of days? We missed
We got a
and so forth. I guess that's the big.
So we brought back Rashawn Evans. Rashawn Evans came back and obviously getting that veteran presence to Be a potential linebacker for us is always something that's good. He was here before me, and he actually came back a couple weeks ago and helped us out on practice squad. Did a great job that time. So anytime you can rotate those guys back into your fold and get them back into your building, that's always something good. Love the kid, love the personality. I love the man, love the personality, love who he is, everything about him. We actually got a chance to get a look at a young wideout that's coming to the fold today. Speed receiver, having the ability to come in here and get a chance to look at him, get a look-see. We worked him out a couple weeks ago. So really excited to see what he can do today in practice and throughout this week. Did I do anything else? What was I do? Oh, Big Wheat. Yeah, big sign of Big Wheat to the practice squad. Big mover, came and worked out, did a nice job. Got good genes. Want to have a chance to get a look at him. He moved well in his workout, and now we get a chance to look at him this week in practice and get him some pads acclimated to what we do and how we do it.
And what's the plan for, how you manage Troy getting back out on the grass today?
Starts the process today. He'll be an individual-led. I think that's the part he'll be out there to get a chance to see. We'll see what he can do moving forward and progressing from that point. But realistically, man, that's about listening to doctors, listening to your medical staff, listening to your performance team, how he looks, how he moves, all the things that he can do, potentially bring him back into the fold to be ready to play.
On the injury front, is there any timeline for Drew to come back? I think he's eligible to return potentially from IR this week.
It's really the same answer I just gave with Drew. It's really about being ready to play football. Opening that window, like as you guys know, you open that window, you get 3 weeks within that window. Within the 3 weeks of that window, when you feel like he's ready to go play football, from a performance standpoint, you get him back out there.
What warranted you calling the 3 running backs a 3-headed monster?
The fact that they started the season with their starter in one. He's really done a nice job. Ended up getting injured. They really had their young guy, number 7, going out there, really being productive. And he started off as a gimmick guy. Then he moved to a running back. Then he moved to an explosive guy. He had some really good plays against us. And then they really got open a couple weeks ago when they had some injuries, and 44 stepped out there, really opened this game as a kickoff returner versus us. Then they opened up with a really big game versus New Orleans a couple weeks ago, and he's done nothing but be productive for those guys. So when you look at those guys, have a chance to get out there in that run game and really open it up with a bunch of guys that we know. I know Carb does a great job with those guys in the run game and their upfront people. They've really been productive in running the football the last couple of weeks, which I know was something that wasn't perceived strength for those guys in the beginning, which has become that.
Because the receivers are injured, does that put more pressure on the Falcons' run defense?
I think it always starts with the run, just in general. I think most coaches say that just as a cliche type of thing, but realistically with these guys and how they've been running the ball the last couple of weeks and what they were able to do, having success versus the Saints and as well as Baltimore, and us spitting out that big play, I think is really something that they've really done a nice job of the last couple of weeks. So I think it starts there because of what they've done, not necessarily what we've done or the Falcons defense. I think these guys, they got a lot of running backs. They got a bunch of good running backs, and you want to be able to go out there and stop those guys to make it one-dimensional in order for the guys to have to beat you in the pass game.
What are you seeing on the developmental aspect of some of the young defensive linemen on this team? You obviously used a bunch of young defensive linemen in LA last year. Some haven't had a lot of opportunities so far this year.
So Rook is kind of like last year when we were in LA, it was a little bit different. I didn't have as many veterans to go out there. It was AD as my vet. I'd have to really think about who my vets were inside. But it's kind of, they started off with some different roles, so they were able to go out there and play earlier. Bobby Brown was one of my vets that I had out there, but they were able to play different roles. We started off Kobe in the pass game role, kind of what we just got Rook to a couple weeks ago versus Tampa in his first start, playing a little bit of pass downs. He got a little bit more comfortable, was able to do some run things, did some really impressive things, shedding blocks. So now his role just increased and has improved. He started off with that role, then it's kind of moved to just playing in a rotation. And he's really moving forward, getting some right directions, doing some really good things, doing some things that are correctable, which our coach is able to correct while you're going about your process. Really excited where he is. Dorlus has been in practice. He's itching at the bit to get up there and get a chance. He's done some nice things in practice. He's done some nice things from a developmental standpoint, just like Root did in the early part of the season. So I wouldn't be shocked to see some of these guys have a chance to get out there and really play. And then you got to talk about some of the young guys that were playing for us right from the beginning of the season, like Zach Harris, and how his roles increased, and to be able to see some of the things he's done, rushing the passer, being really effective on special teams, blocking that punt or whatever you call that thing, muffing that punt a couple weeks ago, having the ability to go out there and really put some pressure on the quarterback last week with the unfortunate penalty. But he's done some really good things for us. TQ, I don't know if you consider him young or not, but he's definitely been a nice contributor for us throughout the season, and some of the things he's been able to do as well.
What's the next step for Zach to get on the field more? Zach Harrison.
Zach Harris has been out there, but realistically, like getting that rotation, and then the hot man has to go. you know, Josh, you're always going to like some type of rotation up front as much as possible. Like those guys are just not really built to play 50 snaps. So it's like a safety, like a Jesse Bates. You want to have those guys up in the 30s. And really, when you're a starter like a Grady, you get to that 37 point. And you find that nice little mixture for what it is of being fresh and what it is meant to be to go out there and be physical and display just.
Okay, quickly, what is on your mind? For me, it is Haynes King or no Haynes King. Brent Key said he's the one that makes a decision on him at the end of the day, and they have not rolled him out, but they are preparing everyone. So we will see who will start at quarterback when they face Virginia Tech.
Bye week for Georgia, but guess what? Now with a win over Texas, they're in the driver's seat in the SEC.
Aren't they?
Yep.
Look at that. After just a little dub
They drop a game, guess
in
what?
Austin.
And then they come back.
They sure do. And the next up is Jacksonville.
Uh-oh. It's always fun. Florida's always fun.
I don't think any of us are worried about it. All right, that does it for this edition of
No.
Sports Tonight. For Lee Smith, I'm Bailey Burmaster. You all have a great night.